This is the first genuine scale figure I know of that comes with 3 different faceplates. Hi and welcome back to the channel. Steven right here with the first video of year 2024. It is a bit late, but Happy New Year to all of you again. And naturally, with the beginning of the new year, I'm going to share with you guys my wish list for this year. Well, every week when I do figure news, I will keep saying I want this, I want that, and then if you include every single one of them and list it out, every single figure I have said I wanted one, maybe there will be 60, 80 figures in one single year, which isn't realistic at all. So for today's, I'm going to keep things a bit simpler. I'm going to list out the figures that I have either already pre-ordered or they are at the top of my most wanted list. Like I am almost guaranteed to buy one at some point, just a matter of when. And I am not going to list out the figures that has already been released in year 2023, even though it was 2 days ago in December, late December. Special mention to Alta's Swatch from Arknights, right? That 45,000 yen figure, which I wanted so much, but we will see. Let's hope the price falls a little bit, and I am not in a hurry to get that one. That might be my first Arknights figure, but still, I'm not going to list out any figures that were released in 2023. Let's focus on the new stuff coming out in year 2024. Okay, so naturally, there are going to be a lot of Fate stuff, FGO stuff, but the other few figures, you can sum things up with Blue Archive. There was actually 1 or 2 Azur Lane figures, and yeah. And with Goddess of Victory Nikkei, I think there was only 1 figure. I believe the ones I want are a lot more, but for now, I'm only listing 1 that I have already pre-ordered. Also, besides anime figures itself, I am going to share with you guys some of my wish list that are indirectly related to anime figures for this year. Like, those are the stuff that are not anime figures, but they are somewhat related to me, to the hobby of collecting anime figures, and also related to this channel. So I'm going to share with you guys those stuff as well. What are your other wish list for the year other than anime figures? Maybe you want more display cabinets? Yeah, share it with me if you have something in mind for that. And I'm going to share my thoughts with you guys on display cabinets at the end of this video. Okay, now we shall move on to myfigurecollection.net. Like, that is the best place to show you guys anime figures. And yeah, we move on to the very first one. The first one over here, this is technically still Type Moon, still Fate Universe, but this is from Tsukihime. Good Smile Company's 1x7 scale shield. Okay, this one, I have no idea how are they going to package this figure. Like, the box is going to be massive thanks to that one single huge blade. And even though I am not as big of a fan of Tsukihime compared to other Fate series, this figure stands out to me not because of that huge blade alone, but how photogenic the pose is. And naturally, I have a history of being attracted to women, to bishoujo characters, pretty girls holding huge weapons, and this is totally up my alley. I don't care how huge that blade is, right? So I'm really looking forward to this figure of Shield. I think she is coming out in June. That is assuming no delays, and 26,000 yen before taxes is actually not too bad. But I'm hoping for maybe a 20% discount at the bare minimum. Well, enough of a discount to absorb the shipping cost at least, right? That would be good enough to me. The next one, the next 7 figures, they are all Fate series, right? So the first one here, this figure of Lancer Mysterious Alter Ego Lambda from Alter. This one is supposed to be coming out this month in January. Please delay it, please Alter. Please delay it because I want this so badly. But even if it comes out in January, like late this month, I will wait for a couple of months as usual for the price to drop a bit before buying. FGO stuff nowadays, they tend to bin anyway. So this is not cheap. This figure of Matrilis, if I am not mistaken, she goes for over 30,000 yen, around 31k I think. Look at this picture, she looks so swag, I like it so much. Like, there are no other FGO characters that are standing out this much as this Lambda over here. Like this, is it raincoat or whatever that is? Penguin raincoat, I like it so much. She really stands out, really unique over here. And I think Fat Company, is making the same exact figure but with 3 penguins instead of just 1. Doesn't matter, not important. Nice to have, but not the most important thing. Yeah, 28,800 yen before taxes. That is around 31k. So my guess was correct. That was based on my past memory. Okay, if this one goes below 24,000 yen, yeah, I'm talking about 20% off. I'm definitely picking one up. This is a must buy for me. Moving on to the next one. Oh. No, one thing for sure is no matter how badly I want this figure of Lancer Ultra Pendragon Alter, I'm not going to pay 50,000 yen, 60,000 yen for this thing. No way. 40,000 yen, yes. Right? So this one officially is 60k. And if I could get this for between 40 to 45,000 yen, a sure buy, right? Maybe I'm asking for a bit too much, like down from 60,000 yen down to 45,000 yen. I think I'm asking a bit too much over here. Let's say she goes for 20% off, that would be around 48,000 yen. Yeah, as long as she goes for under 50k, I might pick one up. But then again, of course, I am going to wait for the value to drop as well. I don't think the value would go up higher than 60k. No matter what people are telling me on how popular she is, yes, but with FGO stuff having a long history of overproduction, I am betting on the price falling, no matter how popular she may be. I mean, look at Passion Deep. A giant figure at 42,000 yen and she is still beans anyway. Yes, Passion Deep is not as popular as Saber Face characters, but I'm still betting on this falling in price. I'm not in a hurry to get this one. If I buy this 6 months after release, so be it, right? I have not even purchased Fat Company's Hokusai yet, more than a year after release. Oh. And not to mention, there is Karma as well from Kadokawa. Oh my god, there are so many stuff. You just couldn't keep up, right? There are so many. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one is also supposed to be out in January, just like Lancer Ultra Alter. This one is also January. I mean, look at this. 3 or 4 expensive FGO figures in one single month. Some of them need to be delayed, man. This is impossible to keep up. Okay, so we have Murasaki Shikibu Rider version by Alter. This is a nice 1/6 scale at 34,800 yen before taxes. So more like 37k, right? Same thing, I'll wait for the price to drop, not in a hurry to buy one. You'll see the other version of Murasaki Shikibu, the caster one, which I already reviewed on this channel. That one was almost 30,000 yen. And today you can get her for under 20,000 yen. Yeah, almost a year after release. So if you are a really patient person, it is very rewarding, right? I know, as a YouTuber, if I were to get something as quickly as possible after release and review it ASAP, like as fast as possible, faster than anyone else who may be planning to review the same figure, I might get more views. That is undeniable. But in the end, I think currently I'm just a small YouTuber. I'm not one with 100,000 subscribers making big money. So it is not really worth it to rush out and be the first to review a very expensive figure which is known to fall in price after release. If I am rich and successful, that is a completely different story. But for now, I will aim for the best bargain I can get with anime figures in general. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one, I don't know if the priority on this is as high as the first 3 or 4 figures I just covered. But this is a nice figure to have for only 21,000 yen. Koyanskaya, which is Tamamo Assassin, by Flare. Flare is actually a part of Alter. They are just slightly a tier below Alter, but their stuff are still great. Nonetheless, 21,000 yen for this is not bad at all. But then again, because of how simple this figure is, in the end, I'm just looking at something with a Chinese dress. Yeah, I can wait as well. I can wait for this one to fall in price. This is, I'm not in a hurry to get this one. Not to mention Tamamo Assassin or Koyanskaya. She is the least popular version of Tamamo out there. Tamamo Cat is more popular. Caster Tamamo is also more popular. Assassin, not so much. And because of this very fact alone, the chances of the price bargain binning is even higher, right? It has happened to Marsh Qlite, what do you call that again? Ortenos, the full armor version, that's what I call it, right? That figure by Q-Skill was beautiful. Yet, it bins by 50% just because people did not like that version of Marsh Qlite. And I'm expecting a similar pattern to Koyanskaya actually. With the exception of 1x4 skill, of course. You don't mess with 3 inks 1x4 skill Tamamo Koyanskaya. That's a different story altogether. But I'm not collecting 1x4 skills at the moment. Moving on to the next one. This is one of the figures which I'm most looking forward to this year, right? Caster Scarhawk or Skadi 3rd Ascension version. For a figure this massive at 1x7 scale with a nice base going for 27,000 yen including taxes, yeah, Good Smile is giving us that magic again. Like, their figures can be quite reasonable in pricing in some ways. And yeah, this version of Skadi, not everyone likes it. Same thing like that Tamamo Koyanskaya, everyone has their own opinion on which is their favorite version of Scarhawk. This one, I mean the outfit and the design, the details, I like it a lot. This is near the top of my favorites designs out there for Scarhawk designs. So I am really looking forward to this one. This should be coming out in February, yeah, February. But of course, could be prone to more delays than that. And I'm totally fine with delays. I would rather figure companies focus on quality control, if that means delays rather than rushing things out with QC issues. Moving on to the next one, this is March release, right? Yeah, March release. We have Mato Sakura by Alter, Dark Sakura. I already have the Aniplex version. I reviewed it as well and I gave it quite a glowing review with only 1 or 2 minor faults. But despite having the Aniplex one already, I will still buy the Alter version because why not, right? Alter makes great FGO stuff. Same story all over. I'll wait for after release. I did not pre-order. Wait for the price to drop a little before buying one. Same story again. So this one, I mean, look at all those great tattoos all over her legs, which is a lot more detailed than what Aniplex offers. I'm really looking forward to this figure of Dark Sakura. Moving on to the next one, another Tamamo Koyanskaya figure. Same thing, this is by Aniplex and I think I like this version more than the one by Flair in Chinese dress. Because this is based on her default original art, right? And not to mention, she is wearing this black color bodysuit, making her looking like some kind of super spy in 007 movies, you know, those super spy movies, spy classroom, anything spy related. She totally looks like a spy over here. And this figure is totally giving off. She totally looks like a spy over here, and that is not common for Fate series characters. Just for that variety factor alone, yeah, I think I want the Aniplex version a lot more than the Flare version earlier. This one is the one I'm eyeing for, and of course, because she is not as popular as other Tamamos, same thing again, I'll wait for the price to drop before buying, regardless of the fact that this is an Aniplex exclusive. Aniplex exclusive does not mean anything at all, right? It won't be difficult to find. A lot of the exclusives are easy to find in Mandarake or Mercari, for example. Moving on to the next one, another FGO figure, which this is the first and only figure of Benny Enma by Amakuni and Hobby Japan. Very expensive as well, including taxes almost 30,000 yen. Certainly far from my favorite character design out there in the FGO universe, but because I want a variety of different characters, of course I'm going to pick one up, but with a discount, of course. I think my cheapskateness is showing a lot over here. Yeah, this won't be a big figure, right? This is a lolly character and they are trying to make the figure look bigger with that base over there, by giving her a tall base. Same story. I mean, a lot of Amakuni figures are excellent as well, but then they still fell in price because of overproduction, right? I expect a similar pattern for Benny Enma. Moving on to the next one. Okay, this one is not near the bottom of the list in terms of priority, but then again, I want one because, once again, variety of different characters. I'm not the kind of Fate series collector where I would buy 30 different saber faces and proclaim myself to be a Fate series fan. No. I want a variety of different characters, like very different characters, right? And this one is quite different as well, even though this is still Karma. Dream Portrait version by Claynell. This one is quite cheap, right? Yeah, 21,600 yen before taxes, coming out in June. Still some time away to go. So I'm looking forward to this one, but this one is not near the top of my most wanted list. Moving on to the next one. This one is also not a very high priority for me, because until today my favorite figure of Miyamoto Musashi is the one by Alter, the one that looks like an American cowboy or cowgirl. Yeah, that one fell in price as well, regardless of how impressive it was made by Alter. I reviewed that as well. Okay, so this version of Musashi is from Fate Samurai Remnant by KT Model Plus, Berserker version. Not cheap, yeah, 25,500 before taxes, and this is exclusive. If you want one with the unique base, I think you have to buy the Fate Samurai Remnant game bundled together, and that is way too expensive. So I think I will be content with this version despite that ugly God over there supporting her knee. I can always make my own custom base. Moving on to the next one. Oh, this Shoten Doji Caster Halloween version by Kyoskyo, 35k. Wow, 36k. When this figure's prototype came out, the unpainted one came out in Wonder Festival a year ago, I wasn't really interested. Like, this Shuten Doji looks so tacky, like there are way too much stuff going on and it is not very attractive to me. I don't like over-complicated designs, right? But once the figure became painted, I think she is starting to grow on me very slowly, and from a complete dislike, I think I'm starting to like her a bit more the more I look at her pictures, right? Especially the pictures taken by Vista Studio. Yeah, this picture, I think this guy is really good at making figures look good in photos. Like this photo over here, this one photo makes me want the figure a lot more, right? So figure photography is pretty important actually. And yeah, I think I will pick up one. This one is not coming out very early, I think. This one is coming out in November, but by the time she is released, I think we are getting her only in year 2025. So I don't have to worry about that 36,000 yen price point yet. I will be reviewing this thing in year 2025. The next one, okay, I guess that is all for FGO, right? I think there were at least 7 or 8 figures over there. Okay, this is probably the only girls frontline figure in this list today. And this is actually from the spin-off Neural Cloud, Florence, 1/7 scale by Fats Company. And this is where the problem is. I have mixed feelings about this figure. On one hand, I really want it for the science fiction vibes this figure is giving off. Not to mention, I have always loved PA-15 as a character design, but Fats Company keeps messing up every PA-15 figure they make, right? And I fear for this one because Fats Company is the one behind it. If the quality control turns out to be absolute garbage, will I still want it? I would say I will wait for the price to bargain bin over in Taobao, which is where these kind of things often happen. Like, the way the Chinese market works is very different from the Japanese figure market. The Japanese, they don't care how bad the figure is. If it is a character they really want, they'll buy it up no matter how bad it is and the value goes up, right? In China, the way the market works there, if a figure turns out to be a train wreck in quality control, regardless of how popular the character is, the market value is going to bin. Yeah, it is the exact opposite of Japan. So I am taking a very cautious approach to this figure. I won't pre-order it. I mean, it is an Ami exclusive for Japanese websites, but regardless of that exclusivity, I'm not pre-ordering it. I'll wait until after release. I don't want to risk a 30,000 yen figure with Fats Company. I think the only exception is Melusine, yeah, the third stage Melusine, which is still unpainted and in prototype stage. That thing is not coming out until year 2025. Moving on to the next one, we have a few Blue Archive figures. Not many, but I think there are 2 or 3 of them over here. The first one, this one is supposedly coming out in January. Kakudate Karin, 1/7 scale by Max Factory. And if I were to proceed and buy this figure, not in a hurry as well, this is possibly the darkest figure I have in my collection. But I still love her character design. And I like this version more than the Barney version that Good Smile put on pre-order just a week or 2 ago. I love the fact that she is carrying that huge machine gun, that huge cannon over there, right? Not to mention that base, I love compact diorama bases like this one. Extra detail on the figure without taking up too much space, right? Not very high in my priority, but still, I'm keeping a close eye on this one. I might pick up one at some point. Moving on to the next one. Okay, this one, I'm not sure if I made an expensive mistake with this figure of Kosaka Wakamo by Neon Max at 1/7 scale. Coming out in May for 24,000 yen, because based on what I'm aware of, this figure is extremely popular in Japan. Like, there were very high pre-order numbers for this figure in Japanese websites. Despite the popularity in Japan, I'm not too worried because I can always grab it for normal MSRP price in case my prediction goes really wrong. I can find it in Taobao at normal MSRP price, right? As long as I don't wait too long. And the reason why I like this figure is very simple. That mask, right? There are not many figures out there wearing masks like this, and even though I will get a separate face part, a separate head with the face exposed, I will still display this figure wearing this mask this way. Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, we have Goddess of Victory Nikkei Guillotine by Phoenix and Furio. 24,000 yen, which is on the pricey side, actually slightly expensive. And I am also taking a very cautious approach because Furio and Phoenix has the reputation of showing us amazing product pictures like this one over here, but the final products will turn out to be less detailed and the sculpting and everything else are a lot less refined. I mean, I keep remembering the kind of nonsense they did with 2 albedo figures in year 2023, and because of that, I'm being really careful with whatever they come up with, right? If they mess up this figure in any way, I'm willing to drop the figure. Yes, I'm willing to drop this from my wish list. The only reason why I like this figure is because of number 1, character design, and number 2, I love girls with guns in general. And that is a very unique looking, what appears to be like a heavy machine gun, or is that a shotgun with a extended magazine? Wow. Anyways, doesn't matter. This is a very unique character in some way. Moving on to the next one, Blue Archive Shiromi Iori by Spirited and Wing. This one is near the top of my want list for Blue Archive characters, coming out in August. Still a long way to go, and 22,500 yen before taxes. Very reasonable. Now this one, she is holding what appears to be World War I or World War II era rifle, right? Something a bit old school, very old school, but that is fine. It is quite a shame that they nerfed her base. This is what her base looks like, and the prototype, we had a bit more detail on the base, that tire over there, and yeah, it is quite a shame, but I still think this base is fine over here. Like, at least they did not give us a plain round plastic disc. This is good enough, alright? Okay, moving on to the next one, there are 2 Genshin Impact figures, and I have already pre-ordered both. The first one is Kamisato Ayaka by Apex, coming out in September. August or September. Okay, so there is still a long way to go, and even though I already have the unlicensed version, which is right behind me, I think. Is it behind me? Ah, there, right up there. Okay, so I have the unlicensed version, but I will still want the genuine one because the quality is going to be so much better. Let's face it, no contest. Apex Toys is really good at making figures now. Is Kamisato Ayaka my favorite Genshin character? Far from it. I don't like her character design as much, if I had to be honest, and the only character I could think of which I like lesser than Ayaka would be Barbara Peck. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next one. Already pre-ordered Autos Fischl. I don't know how to pronounce that word, that German name. Okay, I have already pre-ordered this one as well on day 1 itself. By Alter. I mean, 26,000 yen for this figure, 2 face plates. Why not? This one will stand side by side with all the Genshin figures made by Apex, or even above that, stand above that, right? This is going to be one of the very best, assuming Alter does not screw up. Yeah. And between this smiling faceplate and the dramatic faceplate, I still prefer this faceplate. But anyways, this one is coming out in December. December. Potentially year 2025, so there is a long way to go. Moving on to the next one. Okay, Nikkei. I should have grouped all the Nikkei figures together. Alice from Goddess of Victory Nikkei by Cerberus Project and Flare. Alter. Flare. I have already pre-ordered this one on HLJ, right? I hit the pre-order button because this is only 22,000 yen, and this is really nice. Alice is near the top of my favorite character designs in Nikkei. Like, I really love that pink color bodysuit she is wearing. And I believe there was a Japanese brand that came up with was it a resin figure brand, but a licensed one. They made 1x4 scale. I think it was really expensive and I wanted it so badly, but at least now I can have something which is aimed towards normal human beings without a huge wallet, right? So I am really excited with this figure of Alice coming out in October. Long way to go. The next one here, this is the only Azur Lane figure I've pre-ordered. My first ever Azur Lane figure, unless I buy something else from this game before this figure comes out. I'll call this New Jersey wedding dress version, right? And normally I'm not a big fan of wedding dress figures, but this one is special enough to get a huge recognition from me, like a huge thumbs up from me. I am hitting that pre-order button, which I did back then. And one of the main reasons is actually not that base over there. That huge stairs base is not the reason. This is the first genuine scale figure I know of that comes with 3 different faceplates. And for 40,000+ yen coming from a Chinese brand, that is a lot of money, but I have full confidence in Apex Toys for pulling off this figure. I think this is possibly their flagship figure, their best figure of year 2024. I'm excited for this one, right? This is great stuff. This is great stuff, but she won't be out until November, assuming there is no delays. Moving on to the next 2 figures. These 2 figures were just announced like just a few days ago in late December. And they have already caught my attention for their really unique pose. I've never seen anything like this, so I might as well bring it up. These 2 are not yet on pre-order, right? Okay, this is Ying Sui, right? And Ying Sui is still okay, just that she is a pair with this figure of Chao Ho. And this Chao Ho has a really unique pose of where she is crawling underneath a table trying to reach out for this plushie which fell on the floor. And she is supposed to be crawling underneath this desk over here where Ying Sui is lying on. They are a pair. And these 2 figures are so unique in their pose and setup that I can't help but I have to bring up this figure into this video instead of waiting until figure news fix when they finally go on pre-order, right? This will go on pre-order this week or next week, I think. The price is very affordable as well. 16,300 yen only for each. So these are the only 3 Azur Lane figures in my wish list for this year. There are more that I want, but these 3 are the ones I want the most, right? Especially this figure of New Jersey. And then it's all for genuine figures on my wish list for year 2024, like the top of my wish list. The next 4 figures, they are third-party resin figures which I have already pre-ordered, right? So if I were to list out the third-party figures which are on my wish list but I did not pre-order, I don't even know where to start. Like, there are so many of them. And I'm not sure if not pre-ordering a third-party resin figure is a very good idea, because they are not like genuine figures. Their quantities are so limited. We're talking about a few hundred to a few thousand units maximum worldwide. So if you don't pre-order it, most of the time it means game over. After release, you won't be able to find one at a normal price, right? But it is not like my budget is unlimited, so what can I do? I had to be really selective, right? So speaking of the 4 third-party resin figures I have already pre-ordered. The first one here, okay, this figure of Kafka from Honkai Star by Imagination Studio, she has already been released in mid or late December in China. Now the problem is we all knew what happened in China in December, where the authorities taken taking action on figure brands who manufacture mature content figures. So yeah, the production of this figure was undeniably interrupted. Something happened to this figure, right? Those who purchased the standard version of this figure, this picture only and nothing else, no cast off parts, right? You buy the standard version only, they might have already received their figures by now. But I went for the deluxe version, like the maximum version with all the parts included. So my pre-order was affected. It was delayed, but judging by the time frame I got from the sellers I pre-ordered from, do expect it before March, up to March I think. The first quarter of year 2024 I might receive my copy, hopefully with everything intact, right? I would rather they delay the figure and find a way to get it to me safely rather than having missing parts or or having something worse happen to the figure. So I am still patiently waiting for this figure of Kafka to arrive at my doorstep in perfect condition. So do look out for a review. Hopefully I do get my copy instead of having to get a refund. I would rather get this figure than being forced to receive a refund because yeah, they are not manufacturing the extra parts for her. Or at least give me the standard version for reviews, Okay, moving on to the next one, we have Absinthe Studio, Honkai Style Jing Liu. Right, I have also pre-ordered the deluxe version of this figure, which includes the cast-off parts. So they call it the EX version over here, $360 yeah, more or less around this price range over here. And she is coming out in September. Originally, it was June or second quarter of 2024. But given what happens in China, delayed by 3 months, I think that is still very acceptable nonetheless. Okay, moving on to the third one. Okay, this one I have to crop off the photo partially. From NPP Studio, we have this, Hu Tao from Genshin Impact, right? In this really nice pose. And yeah, I am going to admit that it is the pose that made me pre-order this figure. I am a very healthy man after all, right? Okay, so this one, already sold out in OzGK, predictably. I mean, who wouldn't want Hu Tao in this pose? I pre-ordered mine as well. So this one is coming out in June, where there is no change in release date somehow. But I heard that NPP Studios production line is not in China itself, which is interesting. That is what I heard from some people in the third-party resin figure industry. So maybe NPP Studio stuff is not really affected by what happens in China. Okay, and the fourth one, which I already pre-ordered on OzGK itself, NPP Studio as well, Urawa Hanako from Blue Archive. Like, I have no idea why I pre-ordered this thing. I suppose that I really like the character design and the face expression. Most of the time, it is always the face expression that makes me hit the order button, right? And the face on this is incredible. I love the face expression so much. $245 is not bad considering we're getting all those extra parts. Very reasonable indeed. And that is all for the 4 third-party resin figures which I have already pre-ordered. While there may be others which I did not pre-order, if I am able to come across one at a decent price after release, I might still pick up one. Those that are actually in stock, right? But I have to be really careful with what I pre-order because to me, pre-order equals to debt, right? Even though it is not a debt similar to a mortgage on your home or installment on your car, it is not at the same level, but still, in my opinion, I do not like to cancel pre-orders after placing one because I feel bad for the sellers where they took the stock and then you do not pay up because you chose to change your mind, and then the sellers will have a hard time selling off their remaining stock. I don't like doing that to figure sellers, so I try my best not to cancel my pre-order. I rarely ever do that. So to avoid cancelling pre-orders in the first place, I try not to place too much pre-orders. Moving on to the next section. This next item, which is on my wish list for year 2024, it is not a figure, but it is somewhat related to figure because I am a YouTuber and also a figure photographer, and it is a camera. right? There are one of my oldest cameras I have over here, which is an amazing camera. I'm still unsure whether I want to sell it or to keep it as a piece of memory, it is something really nostalgic because this camera over here is one of the very best DSLRs ever made, period, right? You ask 10 people which is the best DSLR ever, and I think 9 of them will give you the same answer. So this one over here, okay, so this is the Nikon D850, which has served me since late 2017. So this is a 6-year-old camera by now. I was one of the earliest people to get this camera in my country back then when this camera just launched. Yeah, and this was around $3,300 US body only, not including lenses. I bought it back in 2017. 45 megapixels full frame, and the sensor on this camera is amazing. I've gotten so many great pictures of anime figures with this camera. This is something very special to me, and if I don't sell it, it feels like a waste because, you know, I won't be using it as much anymore once I upgrade to a new camera. But at the same time, selling it feels like a waste because this is something with sentimental value, this camera. DSLRs are going extinct. There are no more DSLRs. Nowadays, everyone buys mirrorless cameras. Even Canon, Nikon, they all no longer make new DSLR cameras. They are all making mirrorless cameras. DSLR is dinosaur technology by now, old technology. But the sensor this thing is amazing. Seriously, this is an excellent camera. So if I were to sell this today, pre-owned, used, the shutter count is not very high though. I can expect to get around $1,000 to $1,200 US maximum, right? $1,000 to $1,200 US. That is maximum, which is still a significant amount of money. Like this amount of $1,000 plus could fund my new camera purchase, but sentimental value gets in the way. So I'm not yet sure whether to sell it or not. Selling it might not be a bad idea, right? What do you think? Should I keep something old with sentimental value, or should I sell it anyway to get some money back? So what camera am I planning to replace this D850 with? The answer would be Nikon Z8, right? So this is a $4,000 camera, 45 megapixels full frame as well, but it has a stacked sensor, which means I'm trying to explain things in layman terms for you guys so that I won't burden you guys with too much technical stuff. I don't want to overload you guys with unnecessary information. Basically, stacked sensor means the camera can shoot a lot faster. The burst rate and everything is really fast, right? And yeah, it is a lot faster than this D850. This is dinosaur tech now. And the next thing about this Z8, Nikon Z8, is that this camera can do 8K video at 60 frames per second. 8K 60 frames per second, let me repeat that. Not even the Sony A1, which cost $6,000 body only, $2,000 more expensive than this camera, and it does not do 8K 60. Not that 8K 60 video or 8K video is important to me, because even if I were to do 8K video, there is no point uploading 8K to YouTube. Nobody has an 8K TV, right? And secondly, my desktop computer at home, my custom PC at home won't be able to handle 8K video editing anyway, right? But this would be an excellent 4K camera. It can do 4K up to 120 frames per second, and that is exactly what I want. I need 4K 60 and 4K 120. So this is something I'm looking forward to purchase in year 2024, both for figure photography and for making videos for this channel. So I want to upgrade some of my stuff over here. Oh, by the way, this D850, I use it only for photography. I don't use it for videos at all because this camera is just outright terrible for video. But Nikon Z8 will be a huge upgrade in that regard, right? This is a video powerhouse of a camera. Okay, and in case you guys are wondering what other cameras I'm using for this channel on YouTube, the camera that is recording me right now, that is a Nikon Z30 actually, which is a $700 entry-level camera, which is something I highly recommend to any of you who is interested in picking up your first camera for figures or for YouTube, right? And I have a third camera as well. This is the camera I use for many of my figure reviews, right? Those extreme close-up videos of my figure reviews, ultra detailed close-up shots. Yeah, for figure reviews, I use this Nikon Z6, which I bought back in year 2020 to start a YouTube channel actually. This was the camera that started everything for this channel, right? And this was originally a $2,000 camera, but I got it at a huge discount for around $1,200 only. A huge $800 discount during the pandemic in late 2020 because everyone were out of their jobs. They can't afford anything, so there were huge discounts everywhere. And that was the time I took advantage and bought this nice full frame camera for only $1,200 body only. So this camera is still getting a lot of use for my YouTube channel. My figure reviews all make use of this camera. And I will continue to use this camera for a long time. Even though after I buy the Nikon Z8, unless I upgrade from this camera to some other model, of course. I think coming in a week's time, next week, I will be publishing a video on camera purchase guidelines for all of you guys watching this channel who are interested in buying a new camera to photograph anime figures, or you want to start your own YouTube channel. Do look forward to that video next week. Yeah, there will be a camera purchase guide coming from me next week. Yeah, hopefully next week, hopefully no delays, right? And finally, my last wish list for year 2024, a very important one. Figure display cabinets for my studio, right? So the place I'm filming everything right now, the place I'm sitting at over here, these two cabinets behind me, these are the only display cabinets I have at the moment. And they are not meant for displaying anime figures, they are meant to be backgrounds for my filming of YouTube videos, right? Yeah, they are, I mean, the gap, right? The gap between each level is very small, like 22 or 23 centimeters. I could barely fit a 1:7 scale figure in. I mean, you can tell from here, this is a press figure by Bunny Presto and her head is almost hitting the top of the shelf already. This is a very small shelf. So knowing that this shelf is very small, it can't fit many high-end 1:7 scale figures, why did I put this shelf behind me in the first place? Because I needed it as a background for my videos. Simple as that. And if the shelf was too big, right, the gap between each level is too big for taller figures, then there are not many figures visible in the background of my video recording over here. So when I installed all this shelf behind me, I was taking into account how it would look like in my videos, in my background. I want 3 levels to be visible, not just 1, not just 2, right? And I have calculated everything in intricate detail, in proper detail, like I'm using this camera lens, this focal length, how much of the shelf is visible behind me. And I calculated everything to to match a 40mm lens actually. So that was the only reason, right? It is meant to be a background rather than a proper display. So I don't have any figure displays in my studio yet because, yeah, display cabinets cost a lot of money. So this is a shopping website, very famous. I think the top shopping website in Malaysia called Shopee. I think Shopee is very popular in Southeast Asia in general. And they do have a lot of display cabinets for anime figures. And they are very affordable. A lot of these cabinets here, they average between the equivalent of 50 to 100 plus US dollars, which is extremely affordable, right? But the biggest problem with these display cabinets is that they are not glass, they are made of plastic. Okay, so for example, let's go with this gray color one with 2 doors. We go for the most expensive one, 5 layers, right? 5 levels, 82 centimeters, and this is only 330 Malaysian ringgit. 330 ringgit is about 70 or 75 US dollars, right? Which is dirt cheap, to be honest. So for those of you on a budget, a cabinet like this, it is good enough. For sure, it is good enough, right? And you can even buy 2 of them because it is so cheap. But the problem is that this is not a glass cabinet. This is an acrylic cabinet. It is plastic, clear plastic. When the cabinet is still brand new, that acrylic is crystal clear. You can see all the figures inside very clearly. But over time, it will turn yellow. It will become yellowish. And it won't look good anymore. It will look terrible, right? Not to mention, I have the place which I am planning to have my display cabinets on, it is quite near to a huge window over here. And the sunlight will be hitting the cabinet unless I close the blackout curtain, right? And these blackout curtains I have at the moment, they are very important because I certainly do not want my figures to be exposed to sunlight. That is a really bad thing. So, in the end, I would think that spending more money for a custom-made glass cabinet is really worth it a lot more, even though it is extremely expensive, because I only need to buy a cabinet once. I don't need to buy a cheap cabinet and then 2 years later, I'm not happy with it. I need to sell it or dispose of it and upgrade to a better cabinet. And I will end up with this endless cycle of upgrading, something that is not supposed to happen in the first place. So I would rather spend a lot of money and go for something good from the get-go, from the beginning, so I don't have to worry about upgrading those cabinets again in the future. So the most likelihood, at the moment, my blackout curtains are doing an amazing job blocking out all of the sunlight for my studio filming and also for displaying anime figures. But in future, if I were to add display glass cabinets over there, I think I might have to add new partitions or even additional curtains to protect the figure. No choice over there. And speaking of display cabinets, what are your own preferences? Let me know down in the comments below. I know a lot of you buy IKEA stuff, right? Or IKEA stuff, I call it IKEA. IKEA Detolf or IKEA Bagebo, I think Baggebo. Yeah, there are several glass cabinets from IKEA. But the problem I have with IKEA cabinets is that it is way too common. Like everyone buys them. I want something unique. So more than likely, I will go for custom-made glass cabinet, which is extremely expensive, right? I have already asked for quotations, and to get 2 glass cabinets custom-made to the dimensions I want, I can expect to spend anywhere between $900 to $1,000 US. Aluminium and glass with lighting. Yeah, very expensive. But I think it is worth the investment in the sense that, yeah, I can share with you guys a room tour, a studio tour later on. And I believe a lot of you want to see that, but that is for much later on this year. I will do such a video once everything is ready, including the cabinets, right? I will do a studio tour, a room tour. And I'm the kind of person who would rather buy something expensive and high quality from the get-go, instead of buying something cheap and low quality like these plastic cabinets over here, and then 2 years later they start to look like crap. I need to sell it cheaply or dispose of it and buy something new, and you just keep getting stuck in this endless cycle of upgrading or changing a new furniture, which is honestly a huge pain in the butt. I would rather go for something high quality on the very first time I'm buying, and I don't have to worry about changing new furniture again, right? I think it makes more sense. Buy cheap and you buy 3 times. Buy expensive, you buy only once. Yeah. And that is all for my wish list. For anime figures and related stuff, what are your wish list for year 2024? Share it with me in the comments below. I would love to hear it. And if you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more anime figure content every week. Until then, I shall see you guys again very soon. Goodbye.